Welcome to the another video of this series, NestJS tutorial from scratch. In this series, we are building microservices by using NestJS. We have already seen how to create a task service using NestJS and MongoDB, and we tested all the APIs, the CRUD APIs, create, read, update, delete, task APIs by using this Swagger UI. You can see the Swagger UI. Here we have the get all task, fetch the task list, create a task, fetch a specific task by providing ID, and update a task, update task title and descriptions, and delete a task. We have also have the task schema. We build it, and we can complete it or not complete it by setting the flag using this. So you can check the link of this video in the upper right corner. In the previous video, we started building a scalable microservice architecture with NestJS. We created a component of the microservice architecture, service registry and discovery. You can see the service registry APIs, register or update service, unregister and search service in the service registry. In the Swagger UI, here is the put route to register or update a service, and we can unregister a service from the service registry. We can search by name and the version of the service registry. And if I click here, you can get the details how to put. Here you can try it out by putting the name and the versions. You can also check this video, the link in the upper right corner. In today's video, I will create a auth microservice using NestJS and PostgreSQL. So basically, authentication, it verifies a user's identity, confirming they are who they are claimed to be. And the authorization, on the other hand, determines the permissions and access levels granted to the authenticated users within a systems. Together, they form a crucial part of ensuring secure and the controlled access to a resource. You can see here we have the get logged in user details. So I come to this API later. First, we have the user registration. User can register himself by providing the details like the email and the password, first name and last name. Here we will have this user registration. I will design this registration with the validation. If I try it out, so I can show you the validation first. So if I try to execute, you can see the email must be an email, the password must be longer than equal to the 8 characters. We have this validation. The email is not valid one and the password is 6 characters, but it requires the 8 characters. Now I will fix it and I will post it again. And now if I execute it, you can see we getting the 201 success response and the user is successfully registered. Now I can log in with these credentials, the email and the password. Now if I execute, I will get the token, JWT token. And if I decode the token, I can get the details of the token inside the token. You can go to the site jwt.io and you can decode the token here. It is the encoded and the decoded information. You can see the SJ Malik tells Surajit Malik, and the expiry also we have the 1 hour. Now, and if you see its ID is 3. Now, if I want to fetch this user details by providing the ID, you can see it's 403 forbidden or it's unauthorized. So you can see here we have this authorized button, and we have to provide the token here, and we have to authorize. It's just like the login to the systems and store the token in the local storage. Now it will be provided in the header. You can see the call command here, the token is provided in the header and I am getting the response. So this is the part of the authorization, and the login is the authentication. So we'll design this set of APIs, the registration, login and the get logged in user details. So let's get started. So you can see in the VS Code, this is our project directory. We already added the task service and the service registry. Here we will add now the auth service. So we are building the auth service with the NestJS and the Postgres database. So the prerequisite thing here, the node. So you can download the node uh, from the official site of the nodejs.org, and you can download the LTS long time support version for any operating system like Windows, Mac OS, or the Linux. I have 18 installed. And next, you need the NestJS CLI. The command is here, the npm install -g at the nestjs.cli. I have already installed. And here the command to create a new project or scaffold a new project. So here I will create a new Nest project, auth service. And here I will pick the npm to create the new NestJS project. You can see the auth service initiated. Now I will change directly to the auth service. And next I will create the module, the user module, controller, and the service. So these steps are already explained in the details in the first video of this series. So I am not going deeper into this. You can check the first video of this series, the creating task service. So I generated module, services, and the controller. Next prerequisite things are the PostgreSQL must be installed in your local machine. You can check my video on how to install Postgres in the upper right corner. I have already installed it, and I can log in with my user Postgres -u Postgres, and I can proving password. You can log in into the user Postgres, and here I will create the database which we will working in the application, the auth database. And you can list the tables here /tt. We don't have any tables right now. To interact the Postgres database from our application, I will use the TypeORM. TypeORM is a object relational mapping library for TypeScript and JavaScript. It allows developer to interact with database using object-oriented programming techniques rather than writing raw SQL queries. So TypeORM supports various databases management systems, including PostgreSQL, MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server. So I will install the TypeORM package here. So I also install the PG. PG is a popular Node.js library for interacting with Postgres database. It serves as a PostgreSQL client for the Node.js application. We need to import the TypeORM module in our app module.ts. But before that, I want to set up our .env file. So for this, I will install the @nestjs/config. So in the NestJS, @nestjs/config is a module that provides a configuration service to load and access environment variable. It's often used in combination with the .env package to load variables from a .env file. So I will create the .env file in the root directory of the auth service. And if you see the .env content, we have the DB host, which is the localhost port 5432. Username is Postgres, and the password and the DB name, which DB we created for this application, the auth one. Then I will add the auth config module in our app module.ts. So first I will import it. Next I will import it. So here config module.forRoot will load and parse your .env file. The setting is global true will automatically import config module to all other modules, which means you don't need to import in the user module.ts. We have in the users file, we have the users module.ts. Instead of using process.env.env, we'll now using the config service.get and the variable name. Next, I will define the entity. The entity means the database tables that should be managed by the TypeORM. The database table will be here, the user table. So inside research, I will create a folder TypeORM. Inside TypeORM, there will be the index file where the entities will be exported, and there will be another file user.entity.ts. Now I will import the necessary decorator from the TypeORM library. This decorator will be used to define the structure and the properties of the entity. So I will import the column. Next, entity and the primary generated column. Next, I will create the class users, and I will use the entity decorator to mark the class users as an entity. So here is the entity, and next I'll declare the class export class users. Next, I will define the primary key generated class by using the primary key generated column decorator here. And here my type will be the begin, and it will be the auto incremented column, and type begin, and name will be the ID. Next, I will use the @ column decorator to define the regular column like the email. The name will be email, and it will be obviously it will be not nullable, so nullable false. And next, the default, if any value is not provided, then it will be defaulted to empty string, and its type will be string. Similarly, I will define the password, which will be not nullable, and the default string, default empty string, and the first name and the last name of the users. So this is our entity. Now I will define this entity in the TypeORM. Here I will define the TypeORM module asynchronously. So the TypeORM module for root sync or root async, sorry. And here I will import config module. So basically this specifies that the config module should be available for use in the asynchronous configuration. Next, I will define the use factory function. So the use factory, this will receive of instance of the config service. So the config service will be the config service type, and it will return an object. This object basically contains the configuration options for connecting to the PostgreSQL database. The values will be retrieved from the configuration service. So type will be Postgres, and next host will be config service dot get. Will get the value from the .env variables. We have the db underscore host, and next we'll have the port. We'll get the port similarly. The port should be numbered, so I will cast it to the integer by using the unary plus operator, and here it will be number. Like the host, I am getting the db username, password, and the db name from the .env file. Next will be the entities. So entity we already defined, the user entity here. We will export from the index.ts. I will take it in a array, the users, and I will export it. export default entities. Next, I will use here the entities. First, I have to import it. So it's fine now. So basically, this property specify the entities database tables that should be managed by the TypeORM. The entities variable should be defined. So I defined this here, the user entity, and I exported from here. Next, the synchronization. The synchronize will be true. So this will basically tells TypeORM to automatically create database tables based on the defined entities. It's typically used in development, but could be set to the false in the production to prevent accidental data loss. Next, I will start the server, and we'll see if our user entity created or not. First, I will fix the lint error. So to start the server in the development mode, the command is the npm run start:dev. And if I check the database, we don't have any relation right now. So if it's successfully compiled, then it should create the user entity, the user table in our Postgres database, the auth database. So here I am getting the error. It's not able to get the value of the environment variable. So here I missed to inject the config service. So we have to inject it. So it's basically specify the dependency that is injected into our factory functions, the config service. It's now run, and you can see the log here. It's found 0 error. Now if I check the relation, I have to switch to the auth database and I have to find the relation. You can see we have the users relations. Now if I stop the service, drop the table user, we don't have any relation, and run the server again, then it should create the tables again. Now I will check. So you can see it's created the table, and if I describe the tables, you can see we have the ID, email, password, first name, last name, whatever we mentioned in the entity, the user entity.ts. So it's generated, and the ID column is the auto implemented sequential column, primary key, and email is all the columns are not null. Next, I will create the DTO for creating user entities and include validation rule using the class validator library. So basically, the DTO is the data transfer object named. So DTOs are used to encapsulate and validate data when transferring it between different layers of an application, typically between the client and the server. So inside users folder, I will create another folder DTOs, and here I will create the create user DTO .ts, and here I will use the class validator npm package for the validation rules. Now I will import the decorator each email for the email validation, and next I will import the it's not empty to check the not null or the null level checking, and next I will import the min length to check the length of the password. Next I will export class create user DTO, and email will be not empty, and also I will check is it valid email or not. Its email, and it will be string. Next, the password also will be not nullable, and its main length will be 8 characters. and it will be string. And for the first name I will not apply the min length or max length, I will just apply the not nullable. So I define the create user DTO. It will be interface objects that determine how data will be sent in a post request body, and I added the structure, so you don't have any error. Next, I will add the register method and the get user by ID method in the user service.ts. So basically, the register method will create an users in users tables or in our application, and by providing the ID of this user, we can get the details of the user. First, I will define the user repository by using the injected repository that will be used to perform the database operations in the user. So in the constructor, I will take the @injected repository, and this decorator will be for the users. So I will take the users entity here, and it will be the private read only, and it will call, I will call it the user repository. It will inject the repository for the user. Next, I will create the register method. It will take the create user DTO, and here instead of inserting the raw password, uh, keep I will keep the encrypted password in our database. So I will use the bcrypt function to encrypt the password. Now I will extract the password from the DTO and hash the password. And I will hash the password asynchronously. So await bcrypt. Sorry, I have to import the bcrypt. I imported the bcrypt. Now I will use the bcrypt dot hash, and here I will provide the password. And so 10 here represents the hashing rounds, influencing the strength of the hashing password hashing algorithm. The number will be the greater number will be the more strict password, and to decrypt the password will be more difficult. Now I will create a new user entity with this hash password. This will be const new user. I will use the user repository here, and user repository dot create, which will take the rest and the password as the hash password. Next, I will create the user in the database, and will return the promise. So this will be this dot new user, not new user, user repository dot save, and save will take this new user entity, and here it will create into the database the user entity, and it will return a promise. This promise indicates the completion of the save operation or successfully create users in our database. I'll fix the lint error here. Next, I will add the method get users by ID. So this method will take the ID, basic find user by ID, and it will take the user ID, which will be string. Sorry, the ID here we have the number auto incremented begin, and I will use here the find one options to find the users based on the provided ID. So it will be const options colon find one options, and it will be in the users, and the condition here we have the where ID, and next it will return the finded user, this dot user repository dot find one, and it will take the options. So it will basically retrieve the users from the database based on the specified options. So the lint error fixed, we don't have any lint error. Now if I go to the log here, we have this error, the nest can't resolve dependencies of the user service. So to get rid of this issue, we have to go to the user module.ts, and here we have to specify the user's entities and features for this module. For this I will use the TypeORM module. So I will import here TypeORM modules. So import TypeORM module for feature, and it will take user. So it resolves the issue. Basically, the module decorator is used to define the NestJS modules. Module in the NestJS organize the application into the cohesive units, grouping together. Here, the TypeORM module for features user used to import the TypeORM module and specify that the user entity is a feature of this module. This allows the module to use the repository for the user's entity. Now I will apply the Swagger, and I will test this register and the find user by ID route. But before that, we have to add the controller for the route. So in the controller, we will add the register and the get user by ID. Here in the constructor, I will take the user service. It will be private read only user service, and first will be the post route. So I will take the post decorator here, and it will be the register slash users slash register, and here I will use the validation pipe, use pipes, and it will be the validation pipe. So this decorator is used to apply validation pipe to the route handler. The validation pipe is built-in validation pipe in the NestJS that automatically validates the requested payload. So here our requested payload will be the user DTO. So we already defined the validation in the user DTO, and the body will be the create user DTO, and it will just return the register in the user service. And I will pass the create user DTO. And the next route will be the get route. And in the path param, I will take the user ID. So I will take the param here. Sorry, I will take it in the function parameter. So this will be the get user by ID. And here I will take the param. Here it will be ID, and here I will apply the parse int pipe. It will basically parse the parameter, value from the parameter, and parse it to the integer. If it not able to parse it to the integer, it will give the 400 response, which is the bad request response, and it will be the ID colon number, and it will return the user service dot find user by ID, and I will provide the ID. Next, I will check the log. The class transformer package is missing. So basically, class transformer is a library in the TypeScript or JavaScript ecosystem that provides utility for the transforming plain JavaScript object to the instance of the classes and vice versa. So it's used in the combination of the class validator. So here I use here in the DTOs I use the class validator. So but not install the class transformer. That's why it's complaining. Next, if the changes occur. Next, it's finds now. We don't have any error, 0 errors. Next, I will add the Swagger in the NestJS. So I already explained how to add the Swagger in the NestJS, the Swagger UI Express for the API documentation and the API testing. You can check the first video of this series when I created the task service. I am not going to deeper into it in that video. To specify the particular route or the particular API, we can use the API operations decorator from the Swagger. So you can give the summaries and the descriptions of the APIs like this. The spelling is not correct. User registration a user by inserting username or the email, password, first name and the last name. Similarly, you can specify the response, what should be the response from the Swagger by using the API response. The response can be 201, user created successfully, or the invalid input data 400 battery. Similarly, I explain here the get logged in user details. It will be from the NestJS Swagger. So you can see we are good. Now I can access this Swagger UI by localhost 3000/API. So you can see we have this routes, the auth service, authentication and the authorization, and here is the auth service tag, and we have the user registration. The details we provided: registers a user by inserting email, password, first name, last name, and here we have the get logged in user details. So we can test the APIs now. And this is the hello world. Just we can remove from the app controller basically. So from the app controller, if I commented it out and if I refresh, you can see we don't have any, and here it's a default. Oh, why it's default? That tag we have it. So we can register a user. Currently we don't have any users, so if I query the database, select star from users to 0 rows, you can see. So here I will insert a user like this, but here I provided the invalid email and password, so I want to check our DTO is working or not. You can see the email must be an email. It's not correct format for the email, that's why it's complaining. And now password must be longer than or equal to the 8 characters. Now if I provide a valid email, and the secret will be the secret pass. And if I execute, now you can see we received the 201, the successfully created user created successfully. Now if I query the database, you can see we have the user and the encrypted password and the first name last name. Next we will test this route, and we have the ID1. So I'll provide the ID1 here and we'll check. Yes, we are giving the valid, and if I provide the wrong thing, so value must be a number. And if I provide which is not exist to, so you can see we don't have any response is null. And for the one we have the users. Next I will add the authentication or the login route, and we will apply the auth guard in the user details so that the user is logged in, and if the user have the token, then the user can uh, access the route, access this route. So for this I need one more details here, the login user dto.ts. It will be similar as the create user, but here it will take only the email and the password. So I will just copy the email and the password. This email is not empty, it's fine, and it will be the login user dto. Login user dto. I will fix the link error here. Next I will, in the user service, I will add the method login. Here login will take the login user dto. So it will log in user dto. I will extract the email and the password from the login user dto. And next I will query the database by this email whether the user is present or not. So the const user equal to await user repository dot find one, and the condition will be where right. And if the user not present, then I will throw the unauthorized exception from the NestJS. So throw 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 new unauthorized exception, and will be the invalid credential. And next I'll write a method, generate JWT token method, private method to generate the JWT token or the JSON web token based on the provided user related information. So the private generate JWT token, and it will take the email, user ID, which is the number, and the password, and also the name, full name of the user, and it will return the token, which type will be string. I will use here the JSON web token package, and I will import star as JWT from JSON schema, not JSON schema, JSON web token. And my payload will be email, password, and obviously user ID and secret. And for the secret, I will get from the .env. So in the .env, I will declare secret. It will be my secret. And by this config service.get, I will get the secret. And here I need the config service, like the module. We have the config service. So in the constructor, I'll take the private config service, and this will be config service from the NestJS config. And now I can get this .config service.get, and here we have the secret. Next we have the options, and in the options I will provide the expiry of the token. Expires in, and I will provide 1 hour. Next, in the JWT.sign method, I will provide these three parameters. JWT.sign, it will take payload, secret, and the options. It will create the sign JWT and provide and return this JWT. So I will generate this generate JWT token. I will provide the email, and next is the password, and next is the name. Name will be string. Name will be concatenated of the first name and the last name. So I will get from the user dot first name and last name. So here we have one error. Here it's expecting 4, but I provided 3. Next, the user ID I also have to provide. User.id, and I have to return the token. And I didn't use the name here. Now I can see the compilation log. It's compiled successfully. Next I will add the controller for the login. So in the user controller, I will add a post route for this @post decorator, and it will be login. And async login method will take the body, which is the login DTO, login user DTO, and it will return this user service login, and I will provide the login DTO here. So it's compiled successfully, and I added the Swagger details, the response and the operations. Now I will go to the Swagger UI. If I refresh the Swagger UI, you can see the user login is here. So I already registered a user. So now I will check the login route. First, I will provide the invalid email, and here is the invalid credential, unauthorized. Next, I will provide the wrong password here. Password was my secret. So you can see by providing the wrong password, it's giving me the token, and the 201 response, it's not expected because the checking of the password code is not present. So I will use the bcrypt.compare to compare the given password against the password, the encrypted password saved in the database. So the code is the const is password valid, and I will use the bcrypt.compare dot common compare, sorry, and it will take the password in the request body and the user dot password, and it will do same if the password it's false or the incorrect, it's not valid, then it will provide the invalid credential or the colon password not valid. Now if I do the same request, execute, and you can see the invalid credential, password not valid, and the valid password is the secret pass. And now if I execute, it's giving me the correct response or the expected response. Now I will go to the jwt.io site and I will decode the token. So I will paste it, and here you can see we have these results. Now I will register one more, this one, and the register. I'll try it out. My secret, and I will execute, and here user successfully created. Now I will test with this email and the password. Execute, unexpected token. So I am getting the different token now, and if I decode it, so here you can see I am getting the different results. And now I will add the auth card in the get user details by user ID. So I will create a authcard.ts inside our user folder. So authcard is a service here, so I will import the injectable from the NestJS common, and I will export this class, the authcard, like the user service. Next I will import the can activate, and I will implement authcard will implements this can activate. So this is basically the can activate interface implementation. So the guards used to control access to routes, and it will be executed before the routes and route handler is called. And next I need the JWT service from the @nestjs/JWT. I'll import JWT service. So it's not installed. I have to install the JWT service. Right. I'll import the JWT service, and in the constructor I need this JWT service. Private read only JWT service. Next I will define the can activate method which will determine whether the request should be allowed or denied. So can activate, and it will take the context, execution context. So basically this method is part of the can activate interface. Next, I will extract the HTTP request object from the execution context. So const request equal to context dot switch to HTTP and get request or get text get request. So basically switch to HTTP method is used to switch the context to the HTTP context, and get request gets the request object. Next, I will extract the token from the header. Sorry, this will be the const token, and it will be from the request dot headers dot authorization, and if it's present, then I will replace the bearer part. We have to omit or remove, so I will replace with the empty string. Now if token not present, then I will return false. In the next part, I will verify the token. Next, I will validate the token. So I will use the JWT service. So basically the JWT service dot verify. So it will give the decoded value of the token. So this dot JWT service dot verify token, and in the user I will store it in the request dot user for the future use the decoded value of the token, and it will return true, and if the decoding failed, then it will return false. Now in the user module, I will add it in the providers guard, and I will see the log. So we have this error, we can't resolve the dependencies authguard. So here we have to import the JWT module. So JWT module, that here imports the JWT module first, and here JWT module dot register. So here we have to provide the secret, and secret we have the .env. So I will use the register async here, and similarly for the inputs it will be the config module, and here I will use the use factory to get the config service. And here I will inject the config service, and here it will take the secret. Secret will be the config service dot get secret, and sign in options will be expired in, and I will provide same 1 hour. Config service we have to import here. Config module we have to import here. And I will fix the lint error. Now it's working fine. We don't have any error. Now I will test it by applying the auth guard in the get users by ID. So I will go to the user controller, and in the get user by ID here I will apply the use cards decorator, and here I will provide the auth card, and I will check from the Swagger UI. So we already have the user 1 and 2, and I will provide 1 and execute. And here you can see here the status code is 403 forbidden. So we have to, by login, we have to provide the token in the header. So I will make the login with this. For the login, we have the token now. Now I will copy the token and I will authorize here. So it authorized now. Now if I request the same, the get user by ID, and execute, it's not appending here. So if I go to the main.ts, and here we have the add bearer auth. So in the user controller.ts, we have to enable the authentication in the Swagger by API bearer auth. So next to the controller, I will apply the decorator API bearer auth. First, I have to import it. Now I will refresh it. So now I will try login and generate the token, JWT token. So I got the JWT token. Now I will authorize and I will try to get the ID pro. And if I execute, now you can see in the header the token is appended here, the authorization bearer, and I am not getting the results. I have to check the code, and here we have the space after the bearer, so it's not extracting successfully the token. Now I will try, and now I am getting the results here, you can see. And one, by providing one, I also getting the results, but it not expected. So with this email, I only can get the details of this user. So I have to do one more checking here. If the requested user ID and the user ID's token is the same, if it's not same, I will then return false from here. So here I am getting the ID if the request ID have the param in the user. So I am extracted this user ID, and here I will check if the requested user ID presents, then I will match. I will check if it's same as the decoded user ID, and I will if not same, then I will return false. Next I will try to extract now with the one user ID, and here you can see it's forbidden, but for the two, which is its actual user ID, I am getting the results. Now I will try with the email which have the email SJMalik test1 and the user ID 1. It is the secret pass. Now if I execute, I will get the token. I will authorize with the token, log out, authorize, and I will try to get by the user ID, but it's forbidden. And if I try to get the user details, I am getting the details. So it's perfect now. So we built the auth microservice using the NestJS and the PostgreSQL with the authentication and the authorization with the following routes. So I hope you like the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Please comments if you want any video for a specific topic or for a specific use cases, the microservice, I will try to create the video. And please share my video and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.